Thank you to Hasselblad for sponsoring this video. 5 months ago I moved to Italy close to the Dolomites to do my semester abroad. My university thinks I went here to study, but I had one big goal in mind, to get better at landscape photography. Well, there was another goal, to get better at mountain biking, but that plan didn't really work out. At least I got rid of the cast yesterday and only have to wear this thing now. Landscape photography is tough because you might plan a trip months ahead, then go there and just have bad weather the whole time. Landscape photography really is the pinnacle of be at the right place at the right time. So my big brain theory was I would drastically increase my chances if I was just at more places more often. Ergo, move my entire life somewhere that has cool landscapes. And exactly around that time, the camera gods blessed me and sent Hasselblad my way, suddenly giving me access to one of the world's best landscape photography cameras. A bunch of friends and I went on another road trip through the Dolomites, and I don't think I've ever taken this many good landscape photos in such a short amount of time. We started the trip off by going to a collection of 3 huge waterfalls.
I just got to move. Take a look at all the shining lights. Nothing beats that view. Will you meet me on the floor tonight? And it's California. I couldn't have warned you, baby. Ooh. Yeah, this place just makes you, kinda makes you want to. Yeah, it makes you want to.
The midday lighting was really tough here, and trying to keep the camera and my cast from getting soaked was super tricky. But then I turned around at some point and saw all of the water mist floating through the trees, and it just looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I think I'm falling in love. Sweet talk, sun-kissed skin. Let's just go all in. 'Cause I just got to move. Take a look at all the shining lights. Nothing beats that view. Will you meet me on the floor tonight? And it's California. I couldn't have warned you.
After having the most mid-Kaiserschmarrn I've ever had in my entire life, I thought, what's one broken bone when you're not aiming for 2? So I went back down the mountain with a zip line. After that we headed to Lake Bryas. I was really excited for this because the last time I was here, they didn't have the boats on the water yet, and I was really hoping there would be a sunset. But every good photographer knows it's basically impossible to take good photos if you don't spend 45 minutes before trying to skip rocks. But I don't think I'm ever gonna beat my record from last time I was here. It was really hard to find flat rocks there, but a random Italian guy who was watching us found a really good rock and gave it to me for me to skip, but that was too much pressure, so I immediately whiffed it and soiled my pants. Almost as embarrassing as Nickit looking up a tutorial, just rock in hand. Nickit is watching a tutorial. After that I realized I had wasted way too much time, and I still wanted to make it to the other side of the lake before the sun was gone. Sunset didn't really pop off, unfortunately. There was only this thin sliver of light for a few minutes, but that still looked really cool. The next morning, in an attempt to avoid being roped into another political discussion of mild conspiratorial nature with our weird Airbnb host, Hannah and I headed off early to the Antholzer Lake and left the others to fight for themselves. The last time I was here, everybody was losing it after 4 days of pouring rain, and we didn't walk around the lake that time. So this time I was super excited to properly shoot this area in better weather. There was also this super cute dog playing in the water, but I kinda missed him, so this is all you're getting. There is this one building that is just an absolute paid actor and looks incredible on photos. It's a restaurant slash cafe slash hotel, I think. So after walking around the entire lake, we were really looking forward to going there, but they weren't open yet, so we burned the whole place to the ground and headed to our next stop. Going up a chairlift with absolutely no snow below you is a very weird experience. These are the types of hardships I face for my photography. Yeah, I suffer for my art. But the suffering wasn't over yet, because as soon as we were on top of the mountain, there was a pretty heavy thunderstorm and it started raining like crazy. But that wasn't the suffering part. The suffering part was overpaying for the most mid and tiny portion of goulash I've ever had. After having been mildly fed, feeling minimally rested, and saving Nickit from getting stuck in his poncho, we decided to brave the elements, much like the military men who were stationed up here during the Second World War. The photos I took up here aren't anything to write home about, but then I sent up the drone and it looked incredible. There was another guy there with an FPV drone, but those guys aren't even photographers. They're just cosplaying birds. When we were hiking back down the mountain, this kid ran past us and then further down stopped and waited for us to pass him again while staring us down. I don't know why he did it, but what a power move, honestly. That night we didn't do much anymore because it was raining like crazy, and with 6 people it takes about 2 hours until everybody has had a shower when sharing one bathroom. I suggested that parallelism would be more efficient, but then people called me a creep. The next morning we headed to the Trečim area, and I was so excited about this because the last time I wanted to go here the road was still closed to snow. This area is probably the most beautiful in the entire Dolomites, and I was super hyped to finally see it with my own eyes because I was told that the views are insane. Well, that didn't really work out. We were literally in the middle of clouds for like an hour. It still looked pretty cool though, and actually made for some really cool photos. I've been taking a bunch of photos of these different kinds of towers in the mountains, whether they're from cable cars or electricity or whatever, but they just are so photogenic for some reason, and it would be fun to turn these into a little photo project. I'm thinking of calling it Metal Towers in the Mountains. Think about it, it's really deep. It's not. It's not. Whenever you're in the mountains and the clouds just envelop everything, it kind of sucks because you can't see the view, but it still just looks insanely cinematic. And then suddenly the clouds broke up and this insane view opened up. But just as quickly as that break in the clouds came, a few minutes later we suddenly seemed to be in the middle of a storm. And hearing thunder close by while you're on top of a mountain in an extremely exposed open field, and yeah, you can only see like 10 feet in front of you. Yeah, it's a pretty nerve-wracking experience. We absolutely booked it back to the refugio, and that's when it happened. We went through the door of the building, and I realized it's super hot and humid in here, and it was extremely cold outside. And I was really scared of condensation forming inside the camera. I almost broke my old Sony camera due to condensation a few years back, and now there was probably like a 20 degrees Celsius difference between the outside and the building we just walked into. It was super crowded in there, and we were trying to find a table, but at the same time I was just thinking I need to get the camera into my backpack as quickly as possible so it can acclimatize better. So I was trying to take off my backpack, but the strap got stuck on my cast, and the tripod that was mounted on the side of my backpack ended up swinging around and bumping into the back of the Hasselblad and cracking the screen. I was absolutely gutted, and I felt like the biggest idiot. In an attempt to not break the camera, I instantly broke the camera. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Hasselblad's support and repair team. I told them what had happened, and within like an hour I basically already had the shipping label and everything to send it to Sweden for them to repair it. In total, it only took them a bit over a week to get it to Sweden from Italy, repair it and test everything, and send it back across Europe to Italy again. And when I got it back, it looked like brand new again. That was by far the best support experience I've ever had with any camera manufacturer up until this point. Luckily enough, at this point everything was still fully functional. Even the touch functionality of the screen still worked, and I could still take photos, which I am super happy about, because right after breaking the screen, I ended up taking some of the best landscape photos I've taken in my entire life. After 2 hours of waiting in the refugio, the weather cleared up and we made our way to the 3 peaks. While we were walking, the conditions just got better and better.
I could probably use some heartbreak to get moving. Tired of the way you let me down. You fill me up with broken promises, 'cause you never keep them.
The low-hanging clouds everywhere with the sun peeking through every now and then, it just looked absolutely insane. After a bit of hiking, we were standing at the foot of one of the 3 peaks, and from this point on, these honestly might have been some of the best photography conditions I've ever had in the mountains.
Don't try. I don't like all the things you do, mess with my head. Just pick me up, let me down like you don't care. This is for my time. I don't know which way I'm going. I don't need to, as long as I don't have to stay with you. You fill me up with broken promises.
The light was constantly changing, with clouds moving through the whole time. On the way back, we had glimpses of some super golden sunlight peek through, which looked like somebody had added 8K Unreal Engine to the prompt.
All my time. Oh, don't try. I don't like all the things you do, mess with my head. Just pick me up, let me down like you don't care. This is for my time.
I have the feeling I missed a bunch of shots because of the lighting and clouds. They were just changing so rapidly, but I'm still super happy with the shots I got while it lasted, because as soon as we got back to the Refugio, we were right in the thick of it again and you couldn't see anything. I am so glad I was able to capture these images with the 102 megapixel sensor of the Hasselblad 907X and CFV 100C. It's absolutely incredible to look at the detail in these images, and I think being able to zoom in this far has ruined me for life. The interesting thing is, you would think a camera setup that costs 12 grand would be like super complicated to use, but the simplistic design and usability probably makes this the easiest to use camera I've ever held. The real testament to the just pure focused functionality of this camera is the fact that I was able to hand it off to Sevda, who has no photography experience that goes beyond using a phone, and she was able to take some incredible photos of myself with just minimal explanation from my side. And it's always great to have some photos of yourself, because as photographers we usually never have any photos of ourselves because, yeah, we're usually the ones behind the camera. Hasselblad also has an app that other camera manufacturers could only dream of. It's easy to use and most importantly just consistently works and does what it's supposed to do, which is more than you can say about the majority of the other apps from camera manufacturers. There only are a few drawbacks that I could identify with using this camera over the past few months. First, the sensor isn't stabilized, which means you need to use a pretty high shutter speed when shooting handheld. For me, that is most of the time because tripods are my sworn enemy. But to be honest, I don't know if it is even physically possible to fit such a huge stabilized sensor into such an absolutely tiny camera body. Second, the autofocus is decent and much better than any older generation of digital medium format cameras, but don't expect something on the level of a modern Sony. Of course, for landscape photography, which I mostly use this camera for, it doesn't really matter. Third, and this is just a small gripe, but it's kind of annoying while shooting, there is no highlight metering mode. The thing is, the 16-bit RAW files this camera produces have insane amounts of data, and you can recover so much from the shadow information that I think I once actually saw an alternative timeline where the last season of Game of Thrones wasn't shit. I just wish there was a metering mode that makes sure the highlights aren't overexposed, because that's all I need. Everything else about the exposure you can just tweak later on in Lightroom. Over the past 4 months of really putting this camera through its paces, using it as a digital back on my 500cm, shooting portraits with it, and carrying it through the harshest of conditions in the mountains again and again, I absolutely fell in love with this camera, and the results it produces are just unreal. On the last day of the road trip, the weather wasn't great. I think I only took one good photo that entire day. It's this one. I do, however, have several minutes of footage of people trying to seduce a cow with the same grass the cow was standing on. Definitely an interesting business proposition. I also have this great video of Sevda on a playground, but I don't even know how to verbalize what she's doing here. A few months ago, I actually already went on a Dolomites photography road trip, and I think it might be the best and funniest video on my channel, but it absolutely tanked. Go check it out here. I also made a video about using the Hasselblad as a digital back on an old medium format film camera, which is an incredible experience. Okay, see you in the next one. Bye bye.